Okay.
I'm not going to clear the room.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that.
We'll just carry on with the agenda. And that's fine.
Apologies for absence from Councillor James
This meeting's private.
Yes. Thank you.
You can come anytime you like.
Okay, item 2, declarations of interest on this evening's agenda, please, councillors.
Yes, myself, being on the Royal British Legion Committee, I will refrain from commenting during agenda item 12.
Thank you, Councillor Marvin.
I'll register as a member of the British Legion, Mayor. I don't think it prevents me from
As for
voting.
12 too? Yep. Okay, excellent. Item 3, minutes of previous meetings. So, Town Council meeting 12th February. For your approval. Proposed by Councillor Geddes. And seconded, please. Councillor Blackmore. Show of hands, please. Okay, and Councillor May, not absent.
Yes, absent from last month's meeting.
Okay. Yeah. And therefore, also for your information, Planning Committee meeting minutes of 27th February 18. So we move on to item 4, which is finance report. Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 28th of February balance on Town Council's funds at £185,707. Reconciliation of the Town Council's bank accounts has been completed successfully to that date. Item 2 on this report, as usual, lists the payments made during February, which totaled 37,338, with 9,165 attributable to the Salisbury Gardens account. The full list, as usual, is attached for members' information and comment. The payments from Salisbury Gardens account include the latest, this is for members' information, the latest of the twice yearly repayments of £4,753 against the Public Works Loan Board loan for the work done to make this building what it has become. Payments not included in the above figures are 2 further payments totaling 550 of refunds to donors to the accounts connected with the Boxing Club. Receipts during February totaled 25,501, with 5,785 of that coming through the Salisbury Gardens business activity. The receipts, I've asked members to note, included a £10,000 grant from the lottery from its Awards for All strand for the works on Spring Hill Gardens that are about to start, and a £5,000 donation towards those works from a Ventnor resident who had also supplied a £2,000 contribution 3 months ago. Year-to-date variances, as usual, against budget lines for the first 11 months, show that expenditure for the period was £11,756 above budget, and receipts over the month were £2,500 below budget. As noted in section 5, we're pleased to know that the office is now able to accept payments by credit and debit cards within the office and by phone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's the report.
Okay. Any comments or questions on finance report? No? Okay. Move for a proposer. Councillor Blackmore. And seconded, please. Councillor Marvin. Show of hands, please. Item 5, to the Boniface Field allotment.
Yes, this is proceeding well, as some of you are well aware. The 25 it is, it says 20 here, we've found another 5 since I wrote this. allotments now have been marked out on the lower of the two of the Boniface fields. Expressions of interest forms to be widely advertised, and we've got more expressions of interest forms returned than there are allotments available at this time. So as you know, because you approved the process at February meeting, there will be a ballot of those forms held on Friday afternoon to determine who gets what funding. The main purpose of this report, however, is to ask you to approve, after discussion, if you wish to, two documents, drafts of which are attached to the report. And the first of these is the allotment tenancy agreement between the individuals who have been offered them and have agreed to take them up, which is the tenancy agreement. It's based largely on the one that we inherited, with some amendments and additions made based on the experience of Grading, who have a long history of significant number of allotments available. You've agreed that keys will be issued to allotment holders once a contract has been signed by them, and the payment received of the £100 for the first year. Or, as you wanted, a signed direct debit based on monthly payments equal to that £100 a year. The second document is the constitution for an allotment association, and nothing to add to that. We've had the document circulated in time to have a look at it. So the recommendation is that you have a look at those two documents, have had a look at those two documents, and subject to any amendments you want to make to them, I'm recommended to agree them, because the first meeting of the allotment holders is planned for the 26th of March. Thank you.
Okay.
I've read them, and they look good and standard to me, and I couldn't see anything that made me think, oh, we better have another look at that. So I'd happily agree.
Just a couple of comments on officers and committee, which is 5.1 and 5.2 in the association constitution, or proposed association constitution. In addition, the committee will include an elected councillor from Ventnor Town Council. What I'd like to ask my fellow councillors, is there any mileage in saying that should be, under normal circumstances, the Bonchurch councillor, since it's at that end of the town, with a reserve from Ventnor East, should not be able to attend. And the only other point I'd like to just raise for discussion is, should the elected councillor, potentially from Bonchurch East or Ventnor East, have a vote on the committee?
That's for you to decide.
Yes.
Well, for the council. So, and appointing whoever it's going to be would be useful tonight. So
that would be right. So, Councillor Lucas.
I'm happy to take on that arduous role.
really.
But the appointment would be to the Bonchurch councillor, so it wouldn't be you for
well, whilst I hold that position.
Yes. And are you also happy that should you not be able to attend a Bonchurch East councillor?
I will call on your good self.
Ventnor East.
Yeah.
Ventnor East. No, I'm a Ventnor West, so.
Is there a particular reason though why it should be? I'm very happy for you to be it. Is there any particular reason it should be?
Well, it's just that any issues are likely to come up from that end. I can't imagine anyone in St Lawrence complaining about noisy parties at the allotments.
Oh, wasn't she?
Yes,
I'm all of a sudden interested.
Well, but you're only interested in it or something. Yeah. Would you be interested, Lee?
But it says here elected councillor. In fact, I was co-opted, so I don't count.
Well, no, you're picking at straws.
No, but that's what it says.
No,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I suppose. But
Councillor Geddes is right.
But she is a councillor, just the same.
But,
As if she was.
do we take the premise that it should be the one church councillor, or should we suggest that as it comes around?
I'm happy to support the suggestion that it's one church councillor.
Yeah, I think it's sensible.
Especially because Brian has an interest in these things.
Indeed.
Or any future one church
At
councillor
this
might
point.
have. It'll have to be in the CV.
Yeah, I'd be interested in backing you up.
And do we therefore restrict it to veterans?
Take the elected out of the constitution.
Yeah, I think that's why.
Appointed. Councillor Lucas, go.
Can I also raise the allotment tenancy agreement? We did suggest that 6A, which is an obligation to keep the allotment plot clean and good state of fertility, and largely weed free. This growth of weeds is something which annoys adjacent plot holders,
Yeah.
and it can be dangerous, weed seeds, etc., blowing around. So I would like generally weed free added to 6A.
Added to 6A.
Yes.
6A.
6A of the allotment tenancy agreement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just coming back to another point I raised was whether or not we feel that our council representative should have a vote. Is that a reasonable thing to do?
I would have thought so.
Does it need to be specifically stated that
No, it doesn't say, it doesn't, he or she doesn't, does it?
3 attendees will form a quorum? Now, would one of those have to be the town council representative?
No.
Okay.
No.
And every proposal shall be decided by a majority vote, including the town councillor.
Unless they're not there, then
Unless-
the majority vote,
unless-
that's fine.
He or she is there, so I think
Okay.
that stands all right.
Okay.
Subject to getting rid of the word elected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Okay. Any further on that? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll pass it on now.
Are we formally moving it?
We'll formally move
Yeah.
those amendments.
We're going to approve the draft documents as amended and the appointments of the councillor for Bond Church with deputy in the form of Lee Gellis.
At this point. Yeah.
I move, Chair.
Gonna move Councillor Marvin to second and a show of hands, please. And, following very quickly then is Boniface Fields Works Programme, which was
Yes.
agreed last time round, so just to keep up to date.
There is one variation, as you know, from the recommendation, because the actual sums are £2,991 more than you approved at the February meeting. So I've given you a full list now of the work that's actually had to be commissioned, and I'm asking for your permission to bring up the total of that amount of money. So I won't drag you through the detail, because it's all fairly obvious.
I propose that.
Yeah. Opposed? No, so no, any further questions on that? We're happy to go ahead with that. Limit
Was you
of-
saying this was this discussed at the last meeting?
Yes.
In that case, I think it's best if I abstain because
Okay.
I wasn't here to hear the discussions, but I would like that to be noted that it was just because I
Yeah.
wasn't here to hear the full detail.
Fair enough, Councillor May, yeah. No other councillors have any objection to just adding on that to get that work done? Yep. Okay. Okay.
Did that have a second, did it? Just a minute.
That
No.
hasn't got a secondary yet. Councillor Logan. Show of hands therefore. Okay. Abstain, Councillor May.
I'm surprised the leader of the council never stayed for the next night.
He was only here to see what happened. Item 7, grounds maintenance.
Yes,
There we are.
this is an item which you'll recall was on the table at the last meeting in February, and the decision then was to give yourselves a bit more time before deciding how to respond to half of the letter from the Underwrite Council about with proposals for a new grounds maintenance contract from the 1st of January. So there you are, you have it back, and I'm assuming that I think the feeling last time was that in respect of the community open space, there was agreement that it would need to be confirmed before I respond to the Matthews, that you would wish for the current arrangements of us having our own contract to continue.
Which is option 1.
Option 1.
This is no.
Yes, option 1 of 2C, isn't it?
Of C, yes. The community open space is
Not the park.
not the park. Although, are we sure we were happy that what we said on the park was correct?
Well, you didn't actually get...
Well, I think we need to talk about the aspect of topping up the option 1, which is the Ventnor Town Council would be prepared to top up the funding. Does that mean we would lose control of the whole process?
We wouldn't have control.
No, so I mean that might sound as if we were willing to put the money to it, but we lose control.
That's why there wasn't a decision on option 1 of 2B, which is the Ventnor Park one.
Yeah.
Because the feeling, as we've heard it expressed at the consultation evening, was that people were prepared to live with the increase in the preceptor would entail, provided there was a degree of control with Ventnor Town Council. And that's not allowed for in option 1.
It's not. So
it is going to be resisted.
Yeah.
I have had a conversation, as I was asked to at the last meeting, with RIDE, who have 2 of these principal parks, and they are having a debate along similar lines. So it is possible. What I was told by one of their clerks is that they've presently decided not to respond to that section.
option 1.
No, not to either of those.
No, okay.
There's a section on Ventnor Park, on principal parks.
On principal parks.
They're going to
That's right.
leave it blank at this time.
Okay. But we can say that on community open space that we would continue to do our own as we have done for the last 4 years. So we can take that one. So that becomes the one.
Sorry, Jim. I was going to offer you a recommendation.
Yes, you can.
Which reads like this at present in draft form. Of course, the Council resolved to inform the Underwrite Councils in respect to the community spaces it wishes to continue to manage its own local contractor, extending the current agreement beyond 2019, brackets option 1, close brackets. And 2, in respect to Ventnor Park, the Town Council is prepared in principle to provide additional top-up funding to ensure the performance standard of the park is maintained to the current level or better, but in return expects to manage the park directly.
Yes,
That's exactly the thing.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
And that's going to focus the consultation.
And the consultation.
Can you please confirm that this has already been requested in some form, hasn't it?
What?
This option 3, where the top up is made, but the control is taken.
No, we deferred it till now.
It's only been made by me in discussion with the officer concerned.
Yes, so it has been made, not formally.
Not formally.
Yeah, okay.
The officer, as I think I reported last time, the officer concerned said something like "over my dead body."
Okay, so you have.
But that happens for this building as well.
We have something to work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a really nice bloke.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Right, so does anyone else need to know that recommendation again? Do you want to hear the new ones that are happy to go with that?
I think it's perfectly clear. I think it's a good choice of words by the plan.
It does. I shall propose. Seconder. Dealing back down right. And show of hands, please. Okay. So, item 8, the first aid hut lease.
Yes, well, as you know, the current lease, well, the lease we had ran out in June, July last year, and you know, like Council have provided heads of terms for a replacement lease, and this one is twice the length of the initial one at 10 years. And the Assets and Services Group have a look at this and are happy to recommend it to you for agreement. Clearly, you'll get a proper lease back based on that, if you're happy with it.
And as you know, the works have gone ahead. We've taken the undertaking to pay for those works because we need it in operation by Easter, and we will continue to try and fight that case, but let's get the lease down so we know we've got it in 10 years. We've got an understanding to know where we are.
I propose we get
Councillor
straight on
Marvin?
it.
Yep.
Yeah,
No
second.
councillors in there, no comments to come. Councillor Marvin, yes. Seconded by Councillor Geddes. Show of hands, therefore. Yeah.
Can I have your permission to take the council back to the Boniface Fields?
Yeah,
Because I had intended to provide an update on our recent discussions with the council's head of economic affairs, Ashley Thursday, who is concerned that there's no formal agreement between Town Council and the Isle of Wight Council for the occupancy of the older of the porter cabins, the one currently occupied by Ventnor Shed. The Mayor has seen the correspondence, and I asked Ashley Thursday this afternoon if it would be possible to provide us with a tenancy at will to solve the immediate issue for you to consider tonight. Given that was a 10-hour turnaround and that wasn't possible, what he has asked is that you agree in principle to accept the tenancy at will for that building, and then one will be forthcoming.
And pending
A
the lease.
lease in due course.
Yeah.
So is that a continuing arrangement, or does it have a timetable, time scale to it?
Tenancies at will don't usually, they are clearly understood by both parties to be temporary arrangements.
Right, okay.
And we've had to come to that arrangement because the aforesaid officer hasn't done what we thought he might have done.
Very busy man.
Yes, indeed.
And, so could I ask you to formally agree that the Town Council agrees to, in principle, accept a tenancy at will arrangement for the oldest of the porter cabins in the upper field?
Indeed. Proposed by myself. Councillor Marvin. Councillor Marvin seconded, and so happy with that? So you're happy that we're going to take that? We're going to do that. Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realise that. Come back.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
First aid is done. Yes, first aid done.
First aid's done? Yeah.
First aid done.
Do that. This is item 9.
I am number 9, yes.
Yes, item 9.
Yes, much wanted.
As you know, this has been discussed in some detail by the community, well, not in this detail, but in principle by the Community Development Working Group, to apply the effective consultation mechanisms that we've used in the past with this building and indeed with the Our Place survey of 2015. A meeting of Nick Cox and Tony McCarthy, Alison and me with the Mayor, then worked on the detail of that, which you then got in sections 2, 3 and 4. The proposal with residents is to, as you know, is to base those on essentially ward-based meetings, although combining Ventnor, West and East, because there seemed little point in separating those. The idea is to have that in a central location. The staff team's preference for that was the Baptist Church, but of course we don't yet know whether that will be available or not, so I haven't included it in here. And then there will be separate meetings at Lowtherville, St Lawrence and on Church, with suitable community facilities in each area. Alison will have a lot of work to do with this, because as well as arranging the venues, she'll need to ensure that councillors are free as well, because we're assuming that ward councillors will attend each of their meetings. The Mayor will go, and at least 1 or 2 of the staff team will be there as well, at all of them. The proposed time is early evening at around 6 o'clock, with the exception of the meeting identified in section E of this report. We're very keen to have a separate meeting for those who actually live in the area where pedestrianisation is under consideration. According to the electoral register, there are 50 adults in that stretch of the high street living above shops. There are probably more, because it's we tend to be one of the areas where
multi-occupancy.
Yeah, that's right. So that was felt to be more sensible to be loosely organised in the form of a drop-in, as you can see, with 2 sessions, 1 in the morning and 1 in the early evening, and with an invitation that includes an idea that doesn't come naturally to me, that children are welcome. But clearly it will be a significant feature for those who want to encourage to come.
What about councillors for that particular meeting, David?
We haven't given that any thought yet, but it probably won't just be 1 or 2, because there's 2 separate sessions.
Yes.
So,
but the lead on that will be Tony McCarthy and myself, so
Right.
and any other councillors within
Yeah.
that time frame, absolutely free to do so.
It was a very thorough consultation, but the thing that concerned me was how much information will we have available at that time? Because it's quite early, April's quite early, and I know there's quite a few things to be established which impinge on the pedestrianisation, the car parks and things like that. I was concerned that if you have a consultation with things still to be established, it would be an incomplete consultation. People would not be able to give opinions if there was missing information. So what do you envisage as being the state of the consultation detail at that time?
we have a meeting with Southern Vectis on Thursday this week, already arranged. The arrangement of meeting with the emergency services, which is one of the other prime areas, is proving slightly more difficult only because of identifying the right person to have the meeting with. But that's a priority for me now, and that would happen well within the time frame of this. The 2 areas where we have agreed on traffic plan.
Yes.
It works, and we've got to work from Nick Cox on that, and Jim Toogood's son, Sean. And Sean, who's, as you know, is very experienced in these things, being part of the staff of HSS, is very content with the current scheme and is prepared to go to meetings and tell people it will work if that would be helpful. I'm certainly prepared to represent the case to Island Road. So we should know Island Road's solid access and emergency services.
And highways, we should have that by now.
Yeah, we should be able to get even a cost indication by that time. What we won't have is car parks by that time. So we were reluctant to go into the summer for these reasons. People go away and that kind of thing. And I also am of the view that one round isn't going to settle this. The mayor announced it as a year.
Yes, I think that's.
I guess that still seems to be the timescale.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with this. If the feeling is put it back, then by all means do. It's the programme that's important as well as the time. And if the programme's right, then when we hold it is a judgment call that you're better to make than we are.
I mean, we can see that from the public forum that there's a group of people that we need to bring on side, and car parking was one of their major issues.
Absolutely.
So I'm not really happy with that being absent, if you like, from the grand plan at the time when you consult certainly those people. I would think, you know, that they would maintain their concern about car parking.
Yeah. And of course, things with car parking have changed, of course, since the last week as well, which we weren't.
Well, yes, it's getting more expensive, aren't they?
Yes.
They will, you know. But of course, we are a respite, of course, and so Ventnor should be that respite to continue to be so. I still think it's important that we get this round out as I said April. It's 2 April. This is end of April. I think we can go with this. I think it's still. There's enough there to go with it. The hinge is going to be the car park. And I think people that do understand this whole concept will understand that the car parks are key to it as well.
The other element to that is, if I may, Mr. Mayor, is that having done the consultation will strengthen the case on the car park.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I think
you've got to go that way.
I think that the attendance today at the public forum and the previous public forum means that we have to really have a focus on this, because notwithstanding what Councillor Lucas has just said about car parks and you, Mr. Mayor, car park, I think it's fairly obvious that the people who are here tonight are not going to take any arguments to the contrary. In any case, I think that really their minds are made up, and I think, you know, we have to as a council focus on the 6,000 residents of Ventnor, and not just although they're very important, the business people of Ventnor are absolutely important, but this is an exercise for the whole town. We include the whole town in this. And at the end of the day, the decision that we as a council make, hopefully, in a democracy, will be carrying forward the wishes of the majority and not the minority.
Yeah, indeed.
And I think there's a certain spurious red herring about the car parks, because we know from our own experience that the especially Central car park is quite underused. Yeah. Although there's a school of thought, there are some people who say that it's always full. La Falaise is empty, more or less all the time. So we've got to educate people about this.
We've had the arguments about high street parking, about how that operates. It doesn't operate the way that it was presented to us, and of course at this point I'm not going to debate that, because we won't do that until that point, so we're not going to get into that fight in this.
Well, the whole point, Jason, as you know, was that they came with a preconceived idea, thinking that they could maybe, I wouldn't say bully, but talk us into making a decision to withdraw the whole project tonight, and that's never been in our purview, and that's not what we're about here. But they didn't seem to want to listen to that argument, and that's what we're going to be up against moving forward over the next 12 months.
And I take what happened. It's happened before. It's come. How many times it's come before, I don't know. I don't understand. You know what I mean? But post 09, this council will not be bullied off the ball. It will not happen. You know, so we will take it as it goes, and people will have that conversation. And as I say, we will be big enough. If this doesn't look like it's going to happen, we will be big enough to come back with it. But I really want out of this, and that engagement is great. I haven't seen that for 4 or 5 years. I want something back from it as well.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
My sleepless nights need something back for that too. So, yeah. That's another.
Is there any thought about whether or not we make sure that the people who attend each meeting are the people that are supposed to be attending that meeting, rather than having a travelling renter crowd going from one meeting to the next?
Answers to you, Tony.
Well, my guess is, if we're arranging a drop-in session for the residents purely of that part of the high street, then those people should be allowed into the hall.
Yeah, and I think
And not people who've come from somewhere else.
I don't know how we're going to police it. Are we?
Well, I don't know how we're going to police that, but yeah, I'm going to be at every meeting. David's going to be around there. Nick and Tony's going to be there. We will understand all that, and I think very, very quickly that conversation will get into that. The agent provocateur. You will know where that is, and I think that only works for us. Yeah, we can cut that off. I think, yeah.
On the basis of what I've seen this evening and the previous evening.
But the posters, I think, are offensive. I think they're divisive. I think that, however many people they think they carry with that, I think that tactically that's wrong. They've gone that too early. These things run out of steam unless
Seriously, never mentioned that when they were accusing us of producing all these leaflets.
And we won't engender in that. I'm not going to. I'm not going to at all.
One of the problems at the moment is that it's the customers which are their main standard of living, so the source of their living, and they are at the moment telling them all the problems and asking them to vote against it effectively.
Sure.
So they're quite influential in terms of the results you'll get. So for that reason, I wish to say that I feel this consultation is premature. I feel that until we've got a better total package that we can say it doesn't have any glitches to it and it's all put together and it sounds good, I don't think we ought to do it. So
Okay.
I will vote against this consultation at this stage.
Okay. But you see I think that only brings in the situation where we're trying to get a positive result.
Oh yes, I know the motivation, yeah, but there are powerful people and their livelihoods are at stake, whereas somebody from St Lawrence who comes into shopping occasionally, they haven't got as much at stake.
But
I think it would be foolish not to take a note of where they stand, compare with the rest of the residents.
Yeah, but I'd take their.
And I want them to come on side by seeing that every part of the jigsaw is there and it works.
Yeah, no, I get that. But they're very situational. They say, we're going to give a newsletter. It's going to be a factual newsletter. That's what we do. We're not going to bother anything about that. And what is their comeback? Well, they've already done their comeback. They have got this campaign that's going on. Now, I haven't known where this petition is and where it's actually going to go. When's it going to appear? So, I think we're playing on an even field.
It's very much like Brexit in that people are voting with inadequate information. That's really
Yeah.
Councillor Lucas buys the copies next time.
I disagree, because we're then put ourselves in the position of presenting a series of cut and dried options, and actually what we want from the consultation is ideas.
You don't get ideas from people.
We're not going to get ideas.
The business. I was loved a business community.
Well, they've got their own.
No, I would love them to come
session.
forward and say, we think you've got it wrong, but we've got another plan we think will work. They don't. They just object to what we want.
I would agree. We have to give the residents, who form the majority of the people concerned, the option to come forward with ideas. And by presenting a set of cut and dried options, we're precluding that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. We need to avoid the binary here. Pedestrian and no pedestrianisation. There's a whole range of
and pedestrianisation
regeneration
is such
options that are
a spectrum, from closing a street 1 hour a day to 24 hours and everything in between.
I think you're right. The consultation is, if we're not going to pedestrianise, we're talking about this because we see issues. Where do we? If you don't want to pedestrianise, where do you see the solutions?
Exactly.
We're talking about regeneration. That's the thing. We're trying to regenerate the town. we just happen to have plugged on pedestrianisation as one aspect that we could try.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, because it has a well-established sort of
It had something,
history
it's there.
elsewhere.
I mean, and then going back to that, where did you get it from? Well, it's there. It's something that you should be looking at anyway. Certainly the Esplanade, I think, that's the case. I mean, maybe the Esplanade might well be gone. But yes, it's been through that period, but things do change, and you do have to change with it.
I just wanted to say I do agree with quite a lot of what Councillor Lucas was mentioning. I think it's based on my own experiences in town. I've walked around and I've heard what people have said. I've very much kept those sort of opinions to myself, because I think if someone has a private conversation with me, it should remain private. And I think at this moment in time, I'm looking at this based on if somebody in a shop says to me, why did you agree to this consultation tonight? I'm going to have to explain why. And I sort of agree with what you're saying, Brian, in the sense where maybe it's a little bit too premature. Perhaps we should wait it out a little bit and just find out what people think, take our time. Because after all, I think the message I've been getting is that we're not in a rush. So I don't think maybe we should be speeding the process up yet.
I still don't see this as a rush. I think this is still, we're behind the time here. We need to get on with it.
I'm just thinking more from a perspective of how other people are going to see this as, and I believe what's very clear from tonight's public forum is that the business owners are going to see this as we're going to be jumping ahead and we're going to be doing this and we're going to be doing and what I would like to see is maybe just taking a little bit more time, just so they know that we're not going ahead without listening. I think what I'm getting, the reception that I'm receiving tonight, particularly from the business owners, is that maybe we just need to show them that we are serious. And I think by going straight in and spending £500 on a consultation will maybe give the wrong image. I mean, I want to make it very clear I'm very balanced on this.
Right.
I've not got enough information to decide whether I'm for pedestrianisation or not.
Okay.
But I just feel that it's important. I just think it's important that, as Brian alluded to earlier, that we just sort of take our time and that maybe we consider putting this off until the next meeting. Maybe.
Okay. Councillor Blackmore, and then.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just going to reiterate really what we said in group the other day, and with all due respect, I disagree with both you, Councillor Hill, and Councillor Lucas, but Councillor Lucas knows from our discussion the other day, my feelings on it, but just for the benefit of people who weren't there. This is exactly what it says, it's a consultation. We put it out to consultation. Now, we can't allow people to say to us, oh, you're not being transparent here because we don't, you're not giving the people a say, and then we suddenly postpone it for a period of time. Because they'll immediately grasp that as a weakness on our part. I think if we're going to have a consultation here, it has to be properly done and transparent, the way the clerk and the deputy clerk and the mayor have worked very hard to put this together. I really do. And I think we'll benefit from the fact that this is, there are 6,000 people, as I said, live in this town, and we've got to give everybody a chance to bring their say. Not all of them will have a view, some of them will have no view at all. We know by previous conversations, but at the same time, if it's going to be a consultation, it has to be done properly. And I don't really care. I'm like the clerk here, how long it takes really. I don't think it will be rushed. I think we're entitled to take our time because feelings run high, as you saw tonight. And depending on whether you agree, you're agnostic about it, but I happen to be in favour of it historically, because I don't see any examples anywhere else in the country which refutes any argument that these people, everywhere has been tried and anywhere else in the seaside town has worked phenomenally well, in fact.
And it's not the first conversation. We can have another conversation. We can have a third conversation. We can have a fourth conversation.
I suppose where my sort of concerns are is that I want to get a bit more of a sense of, and I think it'd be helpful to explain why I will be voting against, is that I want to understand from the ground what people are saying, because I think it's all very well members of the public, or should I say experienced business owners, coming to these meetings, but I know for a fact that the best way to get someone's opinion is to grab it whilst you're in a cafe and you're talking about it over coffee, because that way you're getting people's unguarded views, whereas tonight, as we saw, it was very much people defending themselves. And
Sure.
the last thing we want is
That's it.
there to be internal eruptions.
And you'll get the first indication of that when you deliver your leaflets in your ward. That's when you find where that is. It goes again.
That's a fair point.
This is a formal conversation. We need to have a conversation. We need to hear what people are saying and their contribution to it. At the moment, it isn't a conversation. It isn't a conversation yet, is it? And we do need that. And I like the idea that if it comes in, if you like, it's sort of like fuzzy, then it gives the chance for things to be refined and be developed. But if we go in, it's like, okay, well, we've got this, block of information and that block of strategy. If I were one of the traders who is here tonight, I would feel worse about it because, look, they've ganged up on us. They've got these solid things. There's nowhere for us to even input. But the consultations that we're having, it's going to be hard work, but I think will actually bring a valuable result, which we'll be able to develop over the months.
I think that's right, and I think we need to strike it as it's hot. They're hot on where they are. I think if we come back on it, I think we're then up for looking at we're reforming, looking for what we do, and we do it. Fortunately, we're in it. Let's play. Yeah. Councillor Brian.
Well, I think Brian's got his finger right on it there. I mean, pedestrianisation has become a word that makes people foam at the mouth. It's about regeneration. That is what it's about. We have a town that's really, frankly, a disgrace. I mean, it's unpainted, unkempt, it's dirty, the pavement's falling to bits. I've said this before. Yes, all right, get a riot in the Glen. Okay, we don't want that kind of town. That's not what we are here for. And I thoroughly reject people accusing us, quite personally, of having some plan, or one of us being some mastermind. That's not how we operate.
I think genius was the word.
Genius, or whatever.
I don't think it was meant nicely.
No, I mean, they've got to understand that we are not like that. We don't do that kind of thing. That's not the way we go about stuff. And they won't actually sit down and talk to you. They're just not going to listen. So we need to. I don't know how we're going to do this. I mean, there must be some sort of MBA course that teaches how to deal with people who are threatening your life. I mean, I'm going down to fight.
Well, it happens one thing at a time.
Yeah, but I do think Brian has got a point there about the regeneration, because that is what it's about, isn't it? It isn't just pedestrianisation. And a lot of those people there, really, they should be working with us and saying, let's paint the town, let's clean it up, let's sort it out. A lot of them own property in this town, and I very well know, and I don't really see, they should be helping out with the town, not attacking us. And really, it was quite unpleasant. I don't want that. That's not what we do.
That's how those things go. I've got to go back to the situation. 4 or 5 years ago when we came to them and asked them for their help for the Our Place programme, and it just wasn't. Don't tell people it's like this. And if it is like this, don't tell anybody. It's just come on. We need to push that little envelope and say, if it takes this little bit of standoff to get that movement, then that's a winner for us anyway.
Yeah, and look what we've done. And look what you've done.
And it's not us. We are together. It's not ours, and it's not yours.
Savings or
and I think, and to be fair, and of course he didn't reiterate it tonight, but Mr. Allen, in the last time he was here, and he said, look, you are here for the best reasons, absolutely, but we think you got this wrong. Okay, well, we might have got this wrong, but we will talk about whether we got it wrong. We're not going to walk away until.
No, I'm not going to foam at the mouth either, are we? And threatening each other. A bit like
Yeah, no single group decides what the council can talk to the public about. No single group at all. So absolutely, it has to go ahead, and there's no question about that. I've read it thoroughly. I fully agree with everything inside. With regards to the timing of it, I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If we wait, we'll be criticised. If we go ahead, we'll be criticised. You'll hear, even in one sentence, you'll hear like, the juxtaposition of positions. You know, how can you be doing this? You haven't planned it. How could you plan something without speaking to us? It doesn't work like that. What I would like to say is I would like that the council is involved with the development of the consultation document itself. I think that's absolutely essential, and that's will be assured. Yes.
That be assured. And thinking at the minute is we get some copy out by the end of this week.
That'd be fantastic.
Not this week, next week.
For me, this is the really critical element now.
He works me hard, is he?
You've got to be able to monitor.
This is the really critical element now, is because, I mean, as I've said to several people privately, I don't believe it's binary. I don't believe we have pedestrianisation or do nothing. I think there's a wealth of options in between, and then we have to demonstrate that we are open to people to bring their ideas. And if they can't bring any ideas, then we can also display that the business forum delivered nothing. And a couple of anecdotes. I mean, I park the Grove every Saturday. The last 3 Saturdays, there's been between 25 and 32 parking spaces in the Grove, and it is a 2-minute walk to the town centre. And I spoke to a woman who signed 4 different petitions. Okay. So don't take the number. Don't just count the number of signatures.
Indeed. And within that as well, there's some thinking within the community development officer as we have identified an officer who will do. We're looking at doing some disability audit of the town as well, and certainly we're thinking let's do that.
Yes,
let's do that place that
and
that's independent. We can bring that back.
This is exactly what fits in between these polar points of do nothing and do everything. Is looking at these issues. But there's as well. I mean, I personally have ideas. I'm looking forward to discussing with everybody. I'll be looking forward to filling in my response to the questionnaire.
Indeed. There you go. You'll have one. Go.
Sorry, I mean, in addition to everything that's here, which I agree with, I think some view should be given as to beyond sort of April. There'd be time to digest what the consultation told us, but then some sort of feedback, and we should give a time for that. And whether we're saying it's a second consultation or follow-up or feedback consultation, some form of words that would indicate that there is a life beyond April.
Yes.
As there always is.
Hopefully just.
But yes, no, it is a nice point. I like it. I do like it. I mean, I'm quite happy to say, okay, we do this. And we revisit it again in 2 months' time. Absolutely.
I'm not talking about just having an agenda item on our monthly meeting.
But then we work it in, yes.
But some sort of
through the working groups, how that comes out, and then how we have to send
more public.
I mean, there'll be a second consultation to work on the outcomes of the first one. And maybe a third and a fourth.
Yes.
Or indeed, it might not even get to the second.
I might just go, okay.
We might see what we get on the first and go, do you know what? It's not there. No, sure. So, in that respect, I would propose we do go forward here on this paper.
I'm prepared to second that.
Okay, so myself to propose, Councillor Marvin to second. Show of hands for. Those against? Any abstentions? No? Okay. That motion will carry. Thank you. Moving on to the just as important item 2, general data protection regulation. Get that?
Yes.
In one go.
I feel gathered from the report, because It's not a simple, straightforward issue. The only thing we're asking you to do tonight is to approve the appointment of a data protection officer in the form of Nicholas Cox, who's willing, he actually volunteered, but, well, sort of.
He's in the corner already, right?
Talking.
Well qualified for the role.
Indeed.
And we're very fortunate that that expertise is available, because a lot of town parish councils are struggling to find compliance with that central element, which is to have somebody responsible for it.
And indeed, a lot of small and middle sized businesses, I think there is a major problem with compliance.
Can I just ask, would Nick Cox take forward the sort of procedures that would be necessary? It is here, isn't it? Detailed order and set of clear procedures for future practice.
And because this is European Union legislation, does that mean it'll fall off the edge of a cliff in 2019?
No.
This is one of the things we want to hold on to after we've left, is it? Oh.
Yeah. I'm saying though, you might say something else in future. But, no, I think that,
As far as I understand, I think there's going to be like a transition. Just to add to your question there, Tony. From what I understand, once we've left, our laws are actually going to be transferred over. So essentially, nothing changes. That's what I understand.
I wouldn't know. 22 months on, we still don't know.
Well, tomorrow it could change, but
we've got a better roadmap on pedestrian.
Maybe take that side of it.
This is the least of our concerns, isn't it?
Sorry, Clark will finish.
It is very important, because the fines that come with it are very substantial.
And we are accountable.
And jail.
And jail.
And jail.
Only for you.
Okay.
Is the fine unlimited? Is there no set fine?
It's defined in relation to all sorts of things, but they can be very big.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to jump all over us and start asking for £1 million next on the 26th of May.
That would take us a
We
couple of
do
weeks.
have to be seen to be starting, so this is the
Yes.
first step.
Yeah, I'm happy to propose.
Proposed by Councillor Gibbs,
Yeah,
I'm quite happy to second.
seconded by Councillor May.
and thank you for volunteering, Nick.
Yes. We've written it into his job description. So, show of hands therefore, Councillor. Thank you. Okay. So, item 11 therefore is our sad duty for Ventnor's casual vacancy.
Yes, this won't take very long either, Mr. Mayor, because you actually have a statutory responsibility to do this. So unless you can see any good reasons for changing the process we've had in place for the last 7 years, then all you need to do is to agree which of you would form an interview group once you advertised.
Okay.
Because it really doesn't want to be too big to be frightening people off. So,
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Okay, yes, as Clark suggests. So, what do we think is a
decent number?
A decent number to do so?
Three.
Three, I think.
Clark's always involved, absolutely.
Three councillors.
I would involve myself just because I'm a nosy thing.
And two other council members.
Plus two.
I look for volunteers and I have to say these things, but in inclusion and diversity, and I would be looking for one of our female councillors.
Do you want to, Delia?
Do you want to?
After you.
I'm happy to,
After you.
but if you after you.
No, it's fine. Well, it depends on what we're doing. because you're still working.
Could we call on either one of you? Could
Yes.
we put that
Yeah,
that way?
yes, certainly.
Excellent,
Yeah.
that'd be great. And another councillor
Or
volunteer.
both of you. I'd quite like to be.
Yeah.
Councillor Blackmore. Okay, so that would be Mayor Clark,
Are you from
Councillor
Ventnor?
Blackmore.
Are you a Ventnor East?
Yeah, I was saying,
Yeah.
Main Street
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
with Ventnor East,
Yeah.
so, you know.
But it was also, I mean, that whole interview process is about how that whole application, the whole council, so it's quite good.
Of course, it depends on who applies.
We'll see who puts in there for.
You got that?
Yeah, that's fine.
You, me, Stuart, and one of Councillor Geddes.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Seconded, please.
So proposed by Councillor Marvin and seconded Councillor Lone. And show of hands, thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Do we have any expressions of interest?
It's not been advertised yet, of course.
But interestingly, that, you know, in the light of where we are, you would have thought that, you know, certain people would have gone through an election process, but that hasn't come.
Nobody from the floor?
Business community.
Well,
Really good.
maybe we should have advertised it. But we can now advertise it to them as a casual vacancy. That'd be interesting. Yeah. Okay, item 12 then, the War Memorial repairs. So, remind me, Councillor Marvin, are you not discussing this at all?
I'm refraining from commenting,
Okay.
so I'm a member of the committee.
Yep, right. And Councillor Blackmore, you're happy to involve?
Yeah, I'm happy to
As
take
much
part.
as
Just as I say, I'm ex-chair of the Legion, but
Yeah.
I don't have any formal
No formal.
connection with the committee now.
No, that's right. So, what?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The members, I think, are aware of the problem which the Legion is very keen to resolve by the 11th of November, when a very special remembrance ceremony service is planned. They've done some good work on it too, in terms of being in contact with the War Memorial Trust. The information here is based on a letter from Frank Hunt, whose role I'm not clear about.
He's a member of the committee, the branch committee.
Yeah, he's been very helpful. Although I've had to tell him that some of the things he had in mind don't work. In particular, that the application process is a two-stage one and not a single stage. There's a pre-application stage, which is fairly straightforward for grant applications of the size this would be at 4,510. There's 2 pages with quotations and pictures, essentially. So that can be completed fairly quickly, certainly with Frank's help it can. He's obviously agreed to cooperate with us. But that takes 6 weeks before there's a decision as to whether they will accept it as a full application or not. So Frank's hope of getting a decision by the 31st of March, which is the next meeting with the Grants Committee, doesn't work, because clearly the 6 weeks will take us beyond that before we're invited to submit. I'm saying this for the benefit of Stuart and Tony primarily. I've told Frank this obviously, and he understands. So there will then be, if they accept the invitation, accept the eligibility of the application, there's then a much larger form to fill in. It's not too huge, I think, from past memory. And that would go to their meeting on the 30th of June, which is when the committee next meets. It's a quarterly rota they're on. And that they then indicate that the decision will be available within 6 weeks of that committee meeting. So it's mid-August before we know. They've already secured a quotation from an appropriate local body. We would have to have 2, but shouldn't be a problem. So that's the time scale. But Frank feels that still leaves time to get the work done if the application is successful. of course, it leaves open the question of what happens if it's not. The War Memorials Trust funds work of this nature to the level of 75%. So there's there will be a 1,128 match funding requirement.
Would that not be plus that?
Well, it is. We get that back.
Yeah, we like that.
So it's not. Frank had a really interesting idea that we could put the full cost in of 5,000 something, and then we could reclaim the VAT. And
Creative accountants.
Yes.
I'd go to jail if that
It was on the step.
And Frank understands that after our conversation. So no, there will be this 1,100 match funding requirement. So you're asked to consider that and decide what to do.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's very important to many people in the town. We need to treat our dead and war fighting people with respect and compassion, and it doesn't sound like very much to ask.
It doesn't. When it comes down to this year, the culmination of those 4 years, the Ventnor British Legion has, on every month of those 4 years, we have commemorated those men on that memorial, and it's unique within the stars. I think we would be something else if we didn't go to it. Absolutely.
Is the British Legion putting any funding towards this project themselves?
No,
Yes.
not towards this bit.
Not to this bit.
They are going to fund a regilding of the
First World War.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, just for your benefit, Brian, Nigel, Holly and I were trustees of that fund, and we did get quite a bit of money initially into it, so that money's still in the bank account.
Yeah.
And that's what David and Jason are saying will be used in the future.
So that will go to the regilding, so that's certainly done, but it's...
Is that the other lettering that has not been damaged?
Yeah, so it's the regilding and the of the front of the memorial. So the regilding on the brass plaque and the re-embellishing of the stonework. Yeah. In time for the 100th anniversary on the 11th of November. Where, as is stated in the paper, again, one of the great, over this 4 years, the Legion have done some remarkable events around Gallipoli and Jutland, and forgive me, there's more, I know, and we've always relished that attention of the Lord Lieutenants and various organisations, but this year, I think this year it's going to be very good, and we'll have the children of the town with the 112 crosses that are on that memorial. Oh gosh, I'm crying already. Those that know me, I'm like that. So it's up to that. Yeah, unless there's any more questions.
No, just to reiterate what Councillor Geddes has just said, I have a long-standing relationship with the British Legion locally, although I was never a serviceman myself. I have been chair of both sections of the, and the work that they do locally and nationally is fantastic. And I just think, I agree with what you just said, Lee, that it's the least we can do to honour. And Ventnor, as you all know, was particularly badly hit during the bombing raids and a lot of people in the town were killed, including some of the servicemen. So I think it's a very fitting thing to do.
Good. So I'll go for a proposal.
All the hands on top.
All the hands. A seconder, so I'll take one of those. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and a show of hands, therefore. Okay, you go with Councillor Geddes first, and then seconder as Councillor Lucas. Yeah. And unanimous and Councillor Marvin. Okay, 13, unlucky for some. Health and wellbeing strategy.
As I explained to you in conversation, I had my doubts about writing this paper, but in the end, at the last minute, decided I couldn't ignore bringing it to your attention. There's nothing, as far as I'm aware, that you can do about it. But in addition to the questions that I've listed, I couldn't find a correct name for them, which is why they're called questions. It just amazes me that these things can get through the number of drafts that paper must have been through and still be there. And the idea that 32% and 22% are similar is beyond my mathematics experience. Anyway, I'm not going to take you through those. I just had to list them because I was depressed by them. The thing that was most concerned is section 3 of that report, where once again you have a major strategy from the Isle of Wight Council that completely ignores town and parish council.
Yeah.
Just fail to understand why that continues to be the case. Ventnor Town Council is not, as you know, the only one of the 33 that's good at making contact with its residents, that feels accountable to them, that has regular contact with them, and all of that. And there you have these strategies talking about the importance of communities with no idea how to reach them. Anyway, that's my little moment.
And we share some of those frustrations. I might just tell councillors the next meeting with the South Wight Health and Wellbeing Forum is tomorrow evening, in fact, so myself and Tony McCarthy will be there. But it's going quite well, and it just seems that obviously what you have within an organisation, the NHS organisations, whether that be the Trust or the CCG or the GPs, there are multi-layers, and we spent a long time getting through them, and we continue to get through them. But there are very good importance to us and our community, as you know, and we will continue to try and deliver those.
And what's odd for me, just to follow it up here, is that the people you've had at those meetings, the officers that have come, have been very glad to come.
Yeah.
They've been
And
very
tell their story.
informative. They found it useful to them. And yet when it comes to strategies,
we're still not on the paper.
No. Anyway.
We know we're there, so that's fine. And they know we're there when we give them our responses to their consultation. So it is of value and will continue.
Just like to thank you for preparing the paper. It's a better read than the strategy itself.
Isn't it just?
I managed the strategy, I must confess, I didn't get the whole way through it. So,
yeah. It is very badly written.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, we did think that that written thing was a draft, and because talk to so and so about page 8, but it still came out on Friday. So,
I think maybe this needs to be considered being attached to the report. As a reference guide.
Read version.
Exactly.
We've done that before as well. Okay, so then last item here on this agenda is Town Clerk's report.
As usual, briefly, the post office is, as you know, under repair, to be completed in time for Easter, in spite of the snow, which put off the start. Spring Hill Gardens is due to start the week after next. He's predicted to last for some 6 weeks, given that there will be a period when nothing much happens, and then suddenly, before you know it's Councillor Geddes, won't it?
Yeah. Can I just ask for a formal thank you from Ventnor Town Council and Spring Hill Garden Group to our anonymous donor who wants to remain anonymous. If we haven't given them one yet, and we would very much like it.
Yeah.
And also, I think maybe Tony McCarthy for securing the £10,000 grant. I mean, that's an achievement in itself, isn't it?
That's his day job.
He gets paid for that.
But still, it's a great thing.
But it is. No, you're absolutely right.
Does
He's on the roll.
Yes. Yeah. Tap of the shoulder. Well done.
Up at Ventnor Community Association, 6 weekly meetings, as you know, the Mayor and I go, and occasionally other members of staff. Matt Hitt came this time, our youth worker. Went very well.
It did. Yep. Yeah. They like him. Yeah.
Not least because at least 2 members of the committee knew not just his mother but his grandmother. So, not go wrong after that, couldn't he?
Tribal, you're in.
Yeah. He knows where he's at. Yeah.
He was very good at it too. Medina Valley students visit. Mayor, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, no, they've started again, which is great. We've had this arrangement with Medina Valley Centre with their geography field groups over the last couple of years. You know, you probably saw about 15, 16 A-level student groups last year. So the first one of this year was last week with the Dame Alice Owens School from Potter's Bar. Yes, very, very intense. They've been here for 4 days in the town. Then they come and have a look at regeneration. They come and have a stakeholder interview with me. Yeah, and it's usually Theresa May worries about the Prime Minister's questions. She wants to come into one of these. They'll take you through. What's this and what's that, and how do you equate this, and that's great. So that started last week. That's brilliant. And so this week, and I've got Brighton College, old Alum Mentor, coming back this week. So that's good. Yeah.
And you informed me this week that these visits are really important to the students because
they are within their A-level structure. This unit of their work, when they come and do this field work, and the consequent stakeholder interview and what have you, is 20% of their coursework.
Really?
Which is quite bizarre. So, yeah. I feel more responsible than ever when I'm in front of them.
Item 5 just lists the latest meetings of the working groups who are working well, I'm delighted to say. And item 6 is just to keep you up to date in the ongoing matter of IWAP.
Machinations of IWAP.
As you can see, there are 9 town parish councils who are regarded as rebels by IWAP itself. And when we met, and I reported that to you last month, it was agreed that we'd ask for a meeting with our rights officers to discuss where we're up to, and a group was appointed to go to that meeting, consisting of Val Taylor from Whippingham, Emma Goldring from Benbridge, and me. And the meeting was arranged for Thursday last week when the chair of IWAP, Peter Whiteman, and the secretary, Maxine Ward, was joined, as you can see, by Jill Kennington and June Davidson, although they're not actually officers, but they know the ground and territory very well, so there's no problems with that. We had an hour-and-a-half meeting at the other side, and Emma, who's coordinating the meetings, has arranged for the 3 of us to report back to the other 6 at the meeting in East Cowes on Thursday. I can't bring you any remarkable outcomes from the discussion. They were very sorry because they feel that all 33 need to act together, and in particular, although clerks are all right without IWAP, you have a problem without IWAP, and I should have told you that before you decided to leave.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think I told you all that.
Yeah. We have our main purpose of our contribution was to ask them to give consideration to the possibility of IWAP becoming the 8th section of the Hampshire Association of Local Councils, and therefore having access to a very professional staff team of 8 people, which the Hampshire Association is able to employ, while retaining all the benefits of local action, because all of it helps, if I can use the abbreviation, all of their 7 sections act not just corporately as one unit, but also separately and discreetly as 7 units reflecting the local authorities' areas that they work within. But it does give help the power and resources that come with having a total of 260 town and parish councils and a budget of £300,000 a year, as opposed to IWAC's now reduced amount of 15,000. So yeah, they were interested in having some more information about that, but clearly that's not at present their preferred route. Emma was really helpful because Bembridge has been in help for 6 years now, and she speaks very highly of the advice and support services that are available. And we acknowledged openly that it wasn't so much criticism of IWELF as a recognition of the reality that with just 24 town and parish councils, they simply don't have the resources to support those town and parish councils that have become something much bigger than used to be the case. So it was all very civilised, as you'd expect, and we'll see where we go.
Thank you, David. Any comments within there? No? Okay. So, I'm obliged to public forum for